Another day is here, and you're ready for it. What to wear? Check. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Check. Planning for what's next and how to save for it? That's where Bank of America can help. For your financial to-dos, Bank of America has experts ready to help get you closer to your goals. Get started at one of our local financial centers or 24/7 in our mobile banking app. Find a location near you at bankofamerica.com/talktous. What would you like the power to do? Mobile banking requires downloading the app and is only available for select devices. Message and data rates may apply. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Jewelry can say many things on your wedding day. As a wedding band, it can say, "This is a forever symbol of our forever love." As a gift to your wedding party, it can say, "Thanks for standing up there with us." Blue Nile can help you find the piece that says it all and says it beautifully, with expert guidance and a wide assortment of jewelry of the highest quality at the best price. Go to BlueNile.com and experience the convenience of shopping Blue Nile, the original online jeweler since 1999. That's BlueNile.com.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Media Matters. The Euros are in full swing, even the Copa America's got started. Our head coach has given his first interview, and one of our top players may be a scapegoat. So there's a lot to talk about and run through as ever with the renowned and the respected David Lynch. David, how are we?
Yeah, good. Things are actually happening now, aren't they? Which is nice. We actually had some news this week and stuff, so that's pretty cool. And it feels like it's getting a bit more real now, and the new manager stuff's kicking off. So yeah, it's been a decent week.
Yeah, it does feel like, fingers crossed, we'll get more to talk about, and 8,000 transfer questions that you'll all have for him as well, so I will fire those by him. A weird one, maybe not weird, that's the wrong phrase, but not the transfer start that people wanted, but the story that came out this week, young Alvin Ayman. So the young 16-year-old at Wolves at Liverpool are reportedly set to do business for about $1.5 million. All I know about this kid, David, is literally he's been on the bench for Wolves against Manchester City. So they must be highly thought of. But is there anything you've heard, or do we know anything about this kid at all?
No, don't know much beyond the fact that, the deal is close to being done. That Liverpool obviously in talks to sort of get that done. And obviously it's a strange one with the young kids, because you're trying to agree a fee that won't incur a tribunal being involved and all that. So I think Liverpool keen to avoid that. So but it sounds like they're pretty confident that one will get done. And I think it kind of just fits into sort of the approach that we've seen in recent years, certainly post-Brexit, isn't it? Which is because you can't recruit a Stefan Bajcetic, for example, when they're 16 and bring them in from foreign clubs or European clubs, certainly. It's all about trying to find the best British talents or talent that's at British clubs. So, it's in keeping with that. And again, we've seen it in really recent examples. It's sort of Nalo and Trent Ione, they're two really good examples, and Ione in particular. I think they both had really good starts, actually really, really good. So, but Ione in particular, and Liverpool are very much trying to keep that up, and obviously, excitement around this lad, and they would think he's a big talent. So we hope he goes the same way as the other recent recruits in those areas. Bobby Clark's another one, isn't he? I think of James McConnell even, and these have made first team impacts. So kind of exciting, and you hope it's a good signing. I just wonder if he can play defensive midfield or not.
Yeah, we might have to talk about certain comments around the six, so to speak. But I actually always annoys me when people dismiss this type of thing because, like you said, you think about the impact Jarell Quansah and Conor Bradley made last season and just how much those two players are worth. You talk about, you said, Ione, Diallo, the players that come in and the excitement around the academy. If anyone's doubting it, Bobby Clark and James McConnell shone at Wembley in front of the biggest, audience you can get against a midfield worth about £250 million on paper, more than them. So it does always frustrate when people sort of dismiss this. You never know. And it almost goes back to when people were belittling that Harvey Elliott signing, weren't they? So it's good Liverpool are in this market. No two ways about it. So there's a bit of transfer news and there's more we'll be asking, I promise. But
one thing I would add on that, actually, Dave, is that as well, when you're recruiting at this age group as well, they're not a million miles away from it. It's all right recruiting a 7-year-old and you don't know what's going to happen and there's a lot of variables. They are a little bit closer to that first team pitch. I mean, as you mentioned, he's already been on the bench for Wolves, so he's in and around that already. So it's not a huge leap to say that he's got a really good chance of making the Liverpool first team sort of in the nearish future. So, to get then those sorts of players in for a bargain fee, you mentioned some great examples there of players who've made impacts already at very young ages in the career. These can be really, really good and astute signings, even though they're not the big names maybe. So, you hope that this will be a sort of another one that proves to be a success.
Yeah, and it's a golden period for the academy, like we said, so we've got to keep an eye on these kids and fingers crossed we don't see him in too long away from first team action. First team action, well, Ipswich 12:30 it opens with, and I know you've seen the fixtures, David, and there's an interesting first six, let's put it that way. There's a mix of probably ones we'd have liked for our new slot and maybe a big trip to Old Trafford that we mentioned to flag. God, that's game week 3, isn't it, already? When you look at, and you've obviously seen the fixture list, when you look at that initial start, what was your gut reaction when you saw it on paper?
Yeah, I kind of didn't like that first fixture, I'll be honest. I think the worst possible time to face a newly promoted side is on the first day of the season. I think, and particularly away from home, I think, there's two sides to this with Ipswich. They're essentially a side with League One personnel that has got promoted twice. I mean, incredible job that McKenna's done there. They've not made huge changes. And they haven't made huge changes yet, so there should be a difference in level. But, it's probably one of the best performances they're going to put in all season is that first game of the season. The crowd is going to be unbelievable and so up for it. The adrenaline's going to be pumping in the team. So didn't like that as a first fixture, to be honest. And obviously that the 12:30 away, I suppose, if you're going to get one of those, get it out of the way in the first game of the season, not after an international break. That's kind of nice. But yeah, I think that's kind of a tough draw first fixtures. But I think you look across those first six, I did a little bit of analysis on YouTube and sort of said that, I think the average position of the first six sides, their average league finish last season, if you put Ipswich as, say, 18th in the Premier League, was 14th. So, on paper, a fairly gentle opening. As I say, don't really love that opening fixture. I think that could be a tricky one if the crowd's really up and Ipswich make a decent start. But I think, it's, on paper, a decent start for Liverpool. And I think you need that with a new manager coming in, getting familiar with a new style of play and all that. And he's familiarising himself with the Premier League. So that, to have a gentle start is quite handy, but you've obviously got to make the most of it and get the points on the board and get that. Because if you lose a couple in that first six, then the fixtures only start to get harder from there, don't they? So it's, kind of mixed really in terms of how you take it. But you hope that Slot can make the most of what should be a sort of gentle start, and we'll see how it actually goes.
Yeah, it does feel that opening fixture feels like massive in one way because, like you said, it's a promoted team. It's away. Some will argue it's a good one to go if you're going to get 12:30. But like you said, it's that time they're going to be up for it. Almost feels like a win, brilliant, get underway. Anything else, a bit of a bad start, and the pressure's going to come on really fast to the head coach. So we'll see what that looks like. And speaking of the head coach, we finally got his first interview. It popped up 4:00 on that day. It came from nowhere. He sits down with Peter McDowell. We saw extended interview. We've also seen behind the scenes, as you know, as well. People are going to look at individual quotes, and I get that. But first of all, what I wanted to ask you was, he is a different character from Jurgen Klopp. There's no two ways about it. What did you make of kind of his style, his personality, and his characteristics?
Yeah, you can read too much into these things, can't you? The sort of, press managed little clips and little insights. You know, they wouldn't have put out anything out he'd said which was controversial, or any moments that maybe made him look bad or whatever. So, you know, you've got to be wary of sort of taking it all on face value. But I think, you know, in terms of, you could see there's a real confidence there, a steeliness. I think, you know, and he spoke really well on certain situations. His English is fantastic, which we shouldn't take for granted. You know, that's his second language, and I just think that, you know, it's absolutely amazing, really, the standard of English he speaks. Having never worked or lived here before, it's incredible, and we should always mention that, which will obviously help him as well. That will be the language in the dressing room. So, yeah, it seemed kind of likable, and I thought he spoke well. I liked the stuff around what you were saying around the reason why there was a delay with his unveiling, and to allow Klopp to have his full farewell. I thought it was a real sort of moment of class, and I like that. But also sort of, I thought one of the things he constantly emphasised through the interview was that, yes, you know, he thinks there are some similarities there in terms of the way they play football, and maybe even in terms of personality. But he wants to be his own man. He wants to make his own judgments on the players. He wants to sort of, you know, stamp his mark and do things his way, which is what you've got to do at Liverpool. You've got to be, you know, that personality that can, you know, because it's not just about the football side of things, and we know he's overachieved at Feyenoord. It's about, you know, Liverpool is big for this, is having this icon in charge, and so much is put on the cult of the manager at Liverpool that he has to shoulder that burden. But he seems like he has that confidence, as I say, that steeliness. So, you know, we got little insights into that, I think. But as I say, there's more to come, and we will get to know him more after his unveiling, and when we all get to meet him as well as journalists, that will be good. To get a bit more of a measure of him. But I think, you know, as far as you can say in terms of how things started off, I liked that interview, and I thought it was a decent start, really.
Yeah, no two ways about it. And it was a question that came in from a few, because it almost felt like a well-managed, softer introduction. Is there a date set for his press conference at all, or unveiling? Are we still waiting for news on that?
No, I kind of suspected it was going to be Friday this week as well, once that interview got out of the way, but I don't actually think that's going to be the case now. I think it maybe is going to be closer to that first day when the players back of pre-season, which I think is going to be around 5th of July, something like that. So maybe it's going to be a little bit close to that, maybe in the build-up to that, rather than this next week or so. I mean, maybe things will change, but it just, from people I spoke to, I don't think it's going to be this week now, which was my previous suspicion. So maybe a little bit longer to wait, but, you know, it will come. And yeah, like I say, I'm kind of looking forward to meeting him and getting a little bit of a measure of him, because it's, you know, it's complete change for us. I mean, I'm so used to Jurgen being there for such a long time, you know, for as far back as I've been covering Liverpool pretty much. So it's, that's going to be strange.
Yeah, we'll be interested, like you say, under the spotlight, get the measure of him a little bit, see how it works. So, I mean, one thing that I took from his sort of clips and various things, he talked about his coaching staff, didn't he? And this is probably going to be a sequence of names I'm going to butcher, but we thought it was going to be Yuri Niemanen, but that didn't happen. And now if I'm pronouncing it right, Fabian Ote, I think it's pronounced, so the goalkeeping coach. Do we know anything about this guy? Because at least it's one more thing ticked off LinkedIn. We can take an advert down, can't we?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's one of those that you're going to say, you know, I could say here he's, you know, very highly rated, but I guess that's true for any goalkeeper coach that's working at an elite level. But I think it's kind of interesting, that anecdote that came out about the idea that, you know, Jurgen had been keeping an eye on his work and was familiar with work he'd done, and sort of tracked him down when he was at Burnley and wanted to speak to him because he was excited about what he was doing. Obviously, Liverpool were looking for a goalkeeper coach at the time, but obviously...
With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
We are audiostack.ai.
Combining AI writing, the best synthetic voices,
with production and delivery.
Be it ads, podcasts, or VOs for video.
Just like this ad.
How would you utilize AI audio? For free.
Go to audiostack.ai/contest.
Give us just a few details.
And you could replace this spot and be heard by millions.
See webpage for T's and C's. audiostack.ai/contest.
We are audiostack.ai.
Combining AI writing, the best synthetic voices,
with production and delivery.
Be it ads, podcasts, or VOs for video.
Just like this ad.
How would you utilize AI audio? For free.
Go to audiostack.ai/contest.
Give us just a few details.
And you could replace this spot and be heard by millions.
See webpage for T's and C's. audiostack.ai/contest.
It's clear there that there's some continuity in terms of that Jurgen was interested in it. He obviously has a style of goalkeeping coaching and wants his goalkeepers to play in a way that would have fitted with Jurgen's style, and thus will probably fit with Arne Slot really well as well, because there's not going to be huge, there are going to be quite similarities there. So, I think he sounds like a good fit in terms of that. And yeah, well, I mean, how much can you know about a goalkeeper coach? I see,
Right.
I think what I read out about there is very sort of analytical and seems like, and that's Liverpool to a T at the moment, particularly now Michael Edwards is back. They want those sort of, it is very sort of collegiate, isn't it? And they want to do the analytical stuff. So he seems on the surface like a very sort of modern goalkeeper coach. And so, that will fit in perfectly to what Liverpool are looking to do. And obviously, we'll see how it gets on. But it's good to have that sorted, because I think we said on previous podcasts that it was just another element of uncertainty that was coming into this new season, and they needed to get that in place. And glad that one's been sorted out now.
Yeah, and he did name check a few, which is good. So it seems like things are starting to fall in place for his backroom team. And one thing that does fall in place for pre-season, we talked about it before because there was only the 3 US friendlies on the docket, but now Sevilla gets added, doesn't it? That week before the season starts, the Anfield test event, as people call it. Is there been any, I know it's almost jumping ahead almost this, but has there been any talk of any more, David? Or are you maybe still getting that feeling that it could just be like, as opposed to the normal 7 or so we see? Wouldn't surprise you if there's less and more time on the training ground this summer.
Yeah, I'm always kind of thinking there will just be the 4, because it like I said, I said previously, didn't I? I thought there was another pre-season coming against a European club, and obviously this was the one, but I had no mention from anyone I'd spoken to about another one being slipped in. I mean, maybe there's going to be a kind of a localish one or something like that you just sneak in, or maybe the other friendly, if they do anything else, will just be behind closed doors. Maybe there's a real possibility for that to happen. So that's that, because 4 does seem like very few, particularly when you're trying to bed in a new style, or I know it's similar, like I said, but there are going to be tweaks that are going to need some practice. Yeah. Maybe some behind closed doors friendlies is the plan, because I don't think there's anything else being lined up at the moment. And 4 friendlies, as I say, could leave you a little bit undercooked. So hopefully, maybe something behind closed doors, or they'll sneak a local one in. But I don't kind of expect that at the moment. I haven't heard anything along those lines.
Yeah, will be interesting. Sure, a pre-season of games, but more time on the training ground. And Jurgen Klopp had talked about that before in this previous season when we struggled, too much touring, too much travelling, scaled it back. So this might be a different level, interesting to see. And it's probably a good time to talk about internationals, but not going to go where everyone thinks we're going to go with this, first of all. I'm sure you saw it, the AFCON announcement, AFCON getting moved for the Club World Cup. Now, if anyone's not clocked it, I mean, look at these dates. The 21st of December 2025, right through to the 21st of January. I mean, that's prime season that Mo Salah could be going. I mean, is there anything about, can Liverpool stop this? Have they just not got any say, or have they really got to try and mitigate this, so to speak?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, by the sounds of things, and just reading on it, that Liverpool would actually, because of the clash with the latest tournament and the way it will fall in the calendar, they would actually have the right to withhold players from it. Now, I mean, you could actually say that obviously because it's 2025, there's a chance that Mo Salah won't be there at all.
Yeah,
it might not actually be an issue for them in terms of that. But I think I think if they did have any players who counted towards that, I think they would have every right to withhold them because it's an error from scheduling on FIFA's part, isn't it? They made a mistake there really to do that, having not thought about AFCON at all. Something needs to be done about the calendar. I mean, how many times have we said that? But the idea that they're just dropping in that Club World Cup, and they haven't thought about it. AFCON has not even been on their radar. The fact they constantly get moved to the middle of the season because you can't hold it at a certain time of the year. And
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. Ha. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
I just think something has to give on that, and the frequency with which AFCON's held as well, I think is a little bit crazy as well in terms of can they not just go to the 4 years, the 4-year cycle on that? But obviously that's a completely separate issue. But yeah, something needs to give on all that, and I think maybe if this clash now is something that actually sort of speeds that up and is the catalyst for it, because if you get a host of Premier League clubs, clubs across all top European leagues withholding players from AFCON, there's finally I think something's going to have to finally give on that front, isn't it? So maybe this error that FIFA have made in terms of scheduling is actually going to help the clubs out and help the players out, because it's just not workable at the moment.
It does seem absolutely crazy. I mean, if it isn't workable and we don't have any say, it's probably a short one, this. Do you think it could affect Liverpool looking at certain players? And I'm thinking of the links to the likes of Kudus and Mbeumo, probably the two common ones I can think that we've been linked with recently. Do you think that would come into their thinking?
I actually, previously I would have said no. I think, we always thought, Liverpool looking at the long term and then briefly missing players for X, Y, Z time is not that bad. They don't think in that. They think of 5-year contracts. But like I said, the frequency of AFCON and the fact it's consistently getting moved to the middle of the year, this is happening every other year now. So, if you're in a title race and you're one of your key players, one of your best players in Salah's has been going away every 2 seasons, and your season's been getting partly wrecked by it. I mean, we saw last time Salah got injured there, then came back and was useless for a couple of months off the back of it because he never gets injured. So, I think he really actually would start to factor this in now. I think Africa's been a great market for Liverpool, signed some unbelievable footballers. But I would think it would start to put them off, which again, I think for CAF is something to look at and think, is this going to harm the development of our players because we're calling them up with this frequency? It might be putting the biggest clubs off in the long term. And I think if it, again, that's where that conversation has to happen about the frequency with which it's held. I do think it would maybe put Liverpool off a little bit, which is a shame because, I mean, look at Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, unbelievable players for Liverpool, world-class true legends of the club, and you're thinking, you would be reticent about sort of, calling up any of those or making moves to sign any players who might be disappear to AFCON every couple of years, because it really can harm your season and you don't need that.
Yeah, especially with those date changes, it does seem crazy. And probably the international one that most people are talking about, and they're talking about it in the last hour, because David Ornstream's dropped that bomb, hasn't he, that it seems that Conor Gallagher will come in for Trent Alexander-Arnold in England's midfield. I mean, let's be honest, we're going back almost now, David, but England were abysmal the other night, and it wasn't just Trent, and just in case anyone missed it, when Trent played off, I don't know if anyone noticed the change. I did. It got worse, to be honest, in that sense. So were you expecting this to happen? Did you get the feeling based on sort of the media swell and everything that's being said this was coming?
Yeah. 100%. Because, well, it'd been set up since this tournament, months before the tournament, that Trent Alexander-Arnold was going to be the scapegoat. So I think we all absolutely saw this coming in. I just find it laughable. I mean, I've been I'm not a huge England fan sitting tuning into international friendlies or watching any qualifying, but definitely watching a major tournament. So, and I feel like despite that, I've been quite a defender of Southgate. Not in that I think, he's absolutely world-class manager. I would have loved for him to go to Manchester United, by the way. But I think, you look at what he's done on paper as an England manager, and I think he, massively outperformed any of his predecessors, getting to a final, getting to a semi-final of a World Cup, done really, really well in that regard and sort of retune what England feels like and how players feel about playing for them. So done an absolutely fantastic job of that. So I'm a bit of a defender of Southgate when he gets a little bit of stick, but I thought it was just unbelievably bad against Denmark in terms of what I saw. And I think that sub to put Gallagher on, and now this news that Gallagher's going to come in for Trent, to me shows that he doesn't understand what the problem is. And I think tactically it looks miles off it, really. I think, for all the talk about it, I didn't really understand this. A lot of the focus post-match was on that England's press wasn't right. And obviously I agree with that. And it was a bit of a shambles, but they actually didn't give up a lot in terms of clear-cut opportunities. I thought England's biggest problem was that they were turning the ball over constantly, and they didn't have a plan to get from the ball from the goalkeeper to the forward line safely, other than launching it. And what kept happening, they were launching it, and the ball was coming back because you were giving Harry Kane up against two centre-halves and nobody close to him, absolutely nothing to work with. So for me, the biggest problems, as much as the pressing was an issue, was in possession. And now they weren't finding ways to create numerical superiority in midfield or near the fullbacks or anywhere on the pitch to allow anybody to find even a yard of space to progress the ball safely. It just wasn't happening. Denmark was swarming all over them. Now, that problem wasn't solved by Gallagher getting on. As you say, it actually got worse and that change was made. Yeah. You're taking off someone who can progress the ball in Trent Alexander-Arnold to someone who treats it like it's a bomb. And by the way, I'm a big Conor Gallagher fan. I think he's, in terms of having someone around your squad who covers gaps, who is a water carrier for other players, not a bad footballer at all by any means, but not a great, not unbelievable in possession or elite level in possession, got lots of other qualities. He doesn't solve that issue in any way. So to me, it just shows that, Southgate doesn't know what the issue is. He thinks, I just put some more energy in midfield and an orthodox midfielder and that will sort it. It will not sort it. It didn't sort it against Denmark. It won't sort it. Maybe they'll play better against Slovenia because they're a weaker side, but it just showed a complete misunderstanding of what was wrong, really. And I just don't understand that decision at all. And yeah, I think the misuse of Trent has been gone over a million times, hasn't it? But the idea that they're so scared to use him at right back is crazy for a starter. But, the fact is, if you're going to use him in midfield, you don't just throw him in there so you can scapegoat him mid-tournament. And like I say, I don't think Conor Gallagher solves any of the issues. I think England are going to continue to have issues in possession because it's a shape and tactics thing as much as anything else. They don't work triangles in any point to get the ball forward. So I expect that to continue, and I don't think Conor Gallagher is going to be taking the ball under pressure, turning out of it, and then pinging a 50-yard pass that's to feet. I just don't think he's got that in his locker. So I think it's going to, England are going to keep having the same problems and probably crash out this tournament early as a result. And as long as Trent doesn't take it to heart and doesn't think it's his fault, then the England are probably just getting what they deserve. And like I say, I hope I hope the player doesn't take this on board or feel that it's anything to do with him. But I just think the manager has got this completely wrong, to be honest.
Yeah, let's just hope say Trent doesn't take it to heart. And if he's dropped, you know what? He comes back well rested for the new season, isn't there? The pre-season campaign under Arne Slot. And probably the final thing, sort of Liverpool off the field. Now, we've talked about this issue to death, so we kind of left it. But Wataru Endo just talked about it now, hasn't he? I know you'll have seen the comments around. He was specifically asked and talked about it in Japanese cap about my age, and that maybe actually it's not the worst idea that Liverpool do look at a six potentially. Well, Endo's not calmed it down at all, David, has he?
Yeah, I guess from his perspective, it's kind of similar to something did I say it on this podcast, or did I wrote it somewhere about sort of Endo is not, not kind of worried about his future, not thinking about I think we might have been on this podcast a few weeks back. Sort of, he's not, fearing that he's going to be sold, and he's absolutely determined to fight for his place if anyone else was to come in. I think this just kind of tallies with that, really. He's just saying that, if they were to sign anyone else, that's not a problem. I can be part of the squad. I will fight for my place. I'll get a lot of games regardless. But, whether it reflects it, I think it's just answering a question about the possibility of Liverpool signing someone in his position rather than suggesting that they've been running any potential signings past him. I think, I still think a lot of what I said stands in terms of, do you have a plan for Bajcetic? There are 2 6s there. Do you need more? I don't know. We'll see. But I don't think this is, like I say, an insight into, they've maybe said, oh, well, we're going to sign someone. What do you think?
Yeah.
I just think it's kind of, the question's been asked of him. Would you stay? Would you fight for your place? And he's answered it honestly. And it sort of tallies with my understanding that he's not planning on leaving or anything like that. He wants to stay regardless of what's happening in terms of signing in his position. But still, I'm not kind of convinced that they will sign anyone. But again, I'm not saying that's absolute gospel. I don't know absolutely everything, but at the moment, I kind of don't really expect it.
Yeah, indeed. Endo, as far as we know, is not assisting Richard Hughes with any queries. It was just an honest answer to a question put to him, nothing more. And ladies and gents, in the area focus, we did the goalkeepers. We talked about specifically the defence, the fullbacks, the centre-backs. We did the midfield last week. So all that leaves in the final bit of this series is the forward line. And probably, David, as you know, the area that it's always going to be a focus because it's, as I call it, it's the sexy area of football, isn't it? The forwards, your attackers. They're the ones that people want to see. There's been a lot of talk about Liverpool forwards. Will they stay? Will they go? All those types of things. I mean, it's kind of putting 3 together in one here. But the talk so far this summer has been that Liverpool are looking for whether it be a Salah understudy, cover, or whatever. A left-footed right winger specifically seems to have been the names called out. There's an expectation maybe that Ben Doak will go on loan potentially because of that. And people are then, and it could be 2 and 2 and getting 26, but Luis Diaz seems to be the popular name to depart. Do you put stock in all of those, or you got any sort of doubts amongst those statements at all?
No, I think it's clear that Liverpool are looking in the market for a forward, aren't they? There's no, I'm very much convinced by these links to left-footed right wingers. It's something they have to future-proof that position because he saw that Salah injury, a little bit of a dip towards the end of the season. He was world-class for most of the season, don't get me wrong, numbers-wise. He's still just such a consistent source of goals, but they've got to get ready for the time that he's not there or he's not playing at the same level because it's coming. Those underlying numbers are just starting to dip anyway, aren't they? So just got to get ready for that as much as Salah is going to be a big part of the squad next season. So, that's clearly an area that Liverpool are looking at. And I think, if there is a forward to be signed this summer, I think it's going to be someone who can play on that right wing. Now, I think that does open up an opportunity for Doak to go out on loan. I think with the injury problems he's had this season, it's a good time for him to do something like that and go and get regular football because I just don't think there's the minutes there for him next season, to be honest, particularly if Liverpool do make that signing, which we sort of think they might. And so I think a Doak loan is very much something that makes sense. But I think in terms of Diaz, the one thing I would say is I think people get carried away that, yes, there's interest in him. And yes, I've said definitely on this podcast that, I think it's something Liverpool would consider if the bid comes in. But it's such a big leap to go from, it's not something that Liverpool are dismissing out of hand in terms of saying, there's absolutely no world in which we would sell him. Yes, they aren't saying that, but they're also not saying we want to give this player away or we're absolutely kicking him out the door. The money would have to be right. He's still a very good player. I know the numbers could be better, so that's why I think Liverpool would look at it. But I also think he's handy in terms of getting the ball up the pitch. He's sort of more of a sort of midfield winger than a forward than any of the other options. So he does offer something a little bit different. He works his socks off defensively. So they're not going to be giving him away. So, if Barcelona are interested, they've got to find that money somehow. If PSG, similar, they've got to put that deal together. So I think people think once you say that it's something that you can't rule out, that he's gone, it's happening. But it's so many variables there. They've got to find the agreement with the club. The player's got to find an agreement with anyone who's interested. And Liverpool have got to sign it off. So yes, it's something that's possible this summer, but it's not a done deal. Liverpool aren't planning for him being gone because he can't, because it might not happen. So it's just one of those that the best you can say at the moment is keep an eye on it. Let's see what happens. Let's see what progresses, because at the moment Liverpool haven't had contact. So until that happens, it's not worth thinking that's a done deal or anything close to it, to be honest.
And his first game in the Copa America's only tonight, so nothing's going to move too fast anyway. When people are looking for instant solutions, it isn't going to happen. But one player, and speaking of the left wing, out of all the players at the Euros, the Copa America, everything we've seen, Cody Gakpo's probably got an argument to say he's shining the most. I mean, he's played both games for Holland on the left wing specifically. He really shone at pass on the left wing under Jurgen Klopp before he departed. Are you thinking he's making a real case to be the left winger under Klopp?
Yeah, he's making a case, isn't he? Definitely. I think, he just seems more natural there, doesn't he? And I think, I kind of like him as a centre forward, by the way. I won't sort of go back on that because I think I said before, when he first came to the club, he played that, didn't he? He did really well, looked almost Firmino-like in the way he played it. And I loved that. And I think he should be in certain games. And especially when you've got runners who are goal scorers either side of him, maybe don't want him centre forward when Diaz is on the left wing. But yes, if Jota's there, for example, and yes, if Salah's on the right, because they will make those runs in behind. But I think you kind of kill him if you put him centre forward and then you have Diaz next to him, because I just think they are two players who are coming in similar areas and it doesn't work.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
We are audiostack.ai.
Combining AI writing, the best synthetic voices,
with production and delivery.
Be it ads, podcasts, or VOs for video.
Just like this ad.
How would you utilize AI audio? For free.
Go to audiostack.ai/contest.
Give us just a few details.
And you could replace this spot and be heard by millions.
See webpage for T's and C's. audiostack.ai/contest.